Video on using up the leftover potatoes from the fondant the other day. So I'm going to make a large Rosti potato and fry it in the frying pan. I'm going to grate the potato, I'm going to squeeze the juice out of it. There's about 1.9 kilograms of potato, like 2 kilograms of peeled potatoes. Obviously you'll need more than 2 kilos of potatoes if you're going to peel them first. There's about 250 grams of homemade chorizo. I've got some cheap cheese, which is 200 grams of just Greek style cheese, which is a bit feta-y. I've got some red cheese, which I might put some of that in depending on how far the feta goes. I've got some celery that I bought from the market that's got all the leaves on. I think I'm just going to use the tops of the leaves in it, and then keep the bottom half something else. I've got about 100 grams of onion, 400 grams of onion. And then I'm going to grate the potato first, and I'll see how much I've got, and then that'll dictate what size of pan I'm going to use to start the potato off in. I'm going to put a layer of potato first, and then kind of combine the other ingredients, put those on top of the potato, so it forms a nice potato crust on the outside, and then all the other ingredients are on the inside, and then flip it over, type of thing. But you'll see what I'm doing. But I'm going to grate everything first, get everything ready. And then we'll put everything together, like cook the chorizo and get it nice and crisp. Get some of that oil out, and then the oil can be used to fry the potato rosti. What was I going to say? Yes. So the potatoes, going to grate them, and we're going to squeeze all the juice out of them. Not going to wash them because we need that starch that's going to be left on the potatoes, which will come back, which will keep everything together. But I think that's it. So I'll do a bit of prep, and then we'll come back at a more interesting stage. So, quick update, frying the chorizo in the pan. It's come nice and crispy, lots of the oil has come out. That's what we're going to cook the potato rosti in, plus a little bit of lard as well, which I've got in the fridge, which came with some bacon. I've grated the potato. It's very wet, you need to make it dry, so it's dry like that. You need to put it, so what you do is you put it in a cloth, an old one that you don't particularly care about, and then you tie it in a ball, and then you give it a good squeeze, and you can see that all the water that wants to come out of the potato, it's just wet, and it just takes forever to cook. Whereas you want to get rid of that, and then you'll get a crispy roasted potato. So squeeze all that out. It's just water and starch. Just give it a good squeeze. As much as you can, and then I'll make the potatoes stick together when we fry it together. Right, so that's that for the moment. So first thing we'll do is I've added a bit more lard or fat to the chorizo oil in the pan. So we'll create a layer of potato on the bottom of the pan. And then what this will do is it will kind of, if you mix everything together and just pour it into the pan, you run the risk of things burning. Like the onions will want to burn a little bit on the pan when it's all frying. Whereas if you do it this way, you just get a golden crust of potato, which is what I want. So push all that in there like that, and then we'll mix. I've got raw onion, because I'd normally cook onion because I don't like the taste of raw onion, but it's going to be cooking for quite a while. So it's raw onion, and then the fried chorizo, and the chopped up celery stalks and leaves, and then we'll mix that with some more potato, and that will go in the middle layer. It's going to be a big boy, is this, if I'm honest. Probably a little bit too much filling, but we'll see how we go. Right, so mix the onion and celery and the chorizo, and I'm not going to use the red cheese because I think there's quite a lot of filling already. So we will give that a mix. Open up the cheese and crumble it in. And then what I've also done is I've saved the water that I squeezed out of the potatoes, and there's a little bit of flour. I've forgotten what the French. I think the French call it. No, I'm not going to repeat it. No, because I'll get it wrong, and I think the chef who told me might have been joking. It might be one of those chicken lips. People telling you to go and get something, and it's not real. So, but it's the potato starch water. Just show you. If you can see, I put so, bottom of the jar, just there, you can see that the potato from the starch from the potato collects. So I'm going to put that in there as well, and then mix it all together. I'll get some pepper. I need to wash my hands. I'll just pause for a second. Right, so I drained off all the water, and you can see there the potato starch at the bottom. So it's a little bit like corn flour, and it'll have that same kind of effect of binding things together. Give it a good mix, and then we're going to. The chorizo's quite salty, so I'm not going to add too much salt, and the cheese is quite salty as well, so I don't want to add too much stuff. But I'm going to season with pepper, plenty of pepper. I was kind of thinking that it's one of those dishes where you can add anything you want. So I've got chorizo, but if you wanted to add something like bacon would be fine, or ham, or any kind of bits of leftover tender meat. I've got stalks from the celery, but peppers would be good, or courgettes, or anything you've kind of got in the fridge that's leftovers, I would recommend. So that's a better mix than that. So this is going to be the centre, and hopefully it'll form into a cake. I might put more cheese in than that. I might sprinkle some cheese in on top of that. So layer on top. And pack it down. This is going to make, it's going to be leftovers as well. There's going to be leftovers from the leftovers. So, pack it down. Like that. You see now, if you can imagine what I'm saying, that all these, if I was just to have mixed all the potato and all the filling into it all together, all these bits of celery and cheese would have actually melted and burnt on the bottom of the pan. So by creating a crust of potato first, they're not going to burn. So we're just going to get the caramelised potato, and then we're going to get all the nice filling on the inside. I'm not going to put any more cheese in than that. And there's leftovers from the leftovers. I'll do something with that. So potato on top, because we're going to turn it over. So well, we're going to try and turn it over. It might be a bit heavy. Probably making a fool of myself. So potato on top as well, and then we're going to turn the heat on, and then we're going to cook it slowly, so it slowly starts to caramelise. A bit of butter would have been nice in this, but I haven't got any butter in the house. I can't keep butter in the house, if I'm honest, because I'm just greedy, and I tend to like a little bit of butter with my toast rather than the other way around. So it's just easier not to have butter in the house if I don't plan to use it. So it's all nice and compacted. Put it under a heat, get some temperature going through it. We'll put a lid on it as well. Depending on the size of your pan, so make a bit of a mess there. So we'll turn the heat on. We'll get that frying. It'll take a while. It's just one of those things because it needs to cook and set. It's raw potato and raw onion, so it needs to set. But all that starch in there will keep it all together. I've got a big pan lid we'll put on the top as well, and then the temperature can kind of get right through to the centre. But it should be nice. I mean, it's one of those things that it'll be nice with for breakfast or for lunch. Serve it with a fried egg or a poached egg, and it's going to be lovely as this. But we'll see how we go. It's a bit dark, this video. I should have put a light on. But anyway, that's it for the moment. We'll come back when it's starting to fry and crisp. We might need to add a bit more oil or fat just to kind of make it a little bit better, but we'll see how we go. More light, a bit more light now. That's a bit better. So as you can hear, it's starting to fry on the bottom, which is, we want it to fry, but what there's always, we're trying to balance that frying with cooking it through. So we'll put it on a lower temperature, because obviously if you hard fry it, then the outside is going to be cooked and caramelized, but the inside is going to be raw, which is not what we need because we're dealing with raw potato. So turn the temperature down, and then we've got that lid, which will just trap enough heat, and also press it down a little bit, and then that heat can get all the way through it. So we'll leave it like that, keep an eye on it, but it'll be lovely. We'll see how long it takes, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm winging this one, to be honest. I've made it before, but can't remember exactly how I did it. So we've been cooking for about 20 minutes. It's starting to colour around the edges, so we'll just give it a bit of a poke, maybe a bit of a press down. Then we'll give it a bit longer, and then we'll just be able to look down the side. Oh, that's looking okay. It's warm, so what I tend to do is, if I know it, when I know it's starting to cook in the centre, if you touch the pan just there, you can feel that there's actually heat there. So the heat's going to come in from the outside and from the bottom, and that's the last place it's going to get hot. So when you know it's hot there, then you know it's cooking all the way through, which is what we want. We don't want raw potato, or raw, well, I don't want raw onions. Some people can eat them, not me. So that seems to be doing okay, so we'll give it a little bit longer, make sure we get a nice caramelised. That should be okay. We'll give it a blast of heat, and then what we'll do is we'll get it flipped over. It's a nice, quite a nice colour there. So we'll give it a blast of heat, turn it up a little bit. What that will do, that will set the outside, give it a nicer crust, and that'll be easy to flip it over. It's going to be a bit of a pain flipping it over. I think I'm going to have to flip it onto the chopping board, onto a bit of greaseproof paper, and then flip it back. And it's going to be a bit of a funny kind of motion, but it should work, and it will be nice. But anyway, that's it. So that's good. Yeah, that's fine for the moment. We'll give it a bit of a blast of heat, get it a bit better colour. We can always, when I turn it over, if it's not coloured as much as I want, we can always put it back on that side, and then it'll give like a better bit of colour. Or you can even just, if you wanted to, you could cook it all the way through on that side. It's just that I want to turn it over. Maybe I don't actually. Maybe I don't. Think about it. How's this potato cooking? Still raw. I need some salt. Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll cook it through on one side, and then we'll turn it over. No, we'll turn it over. We'll want a crispy bottom on that as well. I think that'll be nicer. So give it a blast of heat, just up a little bit, so it fries a little bit harder, gets a little bit crispy, and then we'll flip it over like that. We might put a bit more fat in the pan as well, but we'll do that when we get there. Oh, it's almost cooked. It's just that the bottom needs a little bit more. Sorry, a little bit more cooking. So what I'm going to do is, I've got a piece of baking parchment. It's an old one. I used it for something else, but we don't like waste. So what I'm going to do is going to put that on top, the board on top of that, and then I'll have to do it off camera because there's not enough room here. But I'm going to flip it over. I'll do it in real time so you can actually see that I'm doing it. I hate that idea of people faking things. So baking parchment on top of pan, and then chopping board on top of pan. Obviously it's a big pan, so you need to be kind of quite strong to do this. So maybe right, cloth's a bit wet, but it'll be fine. So cloth underneath on pan, and then bit in my hand. So dry cloth, and then this is going to be tricky. I don't want to make a mess of this. Show a bit of strength. That should be okay. So what should happen now is the big reveal. Is it should have just come out of the pan, and ooh, doesn't that look nice? So How do we get this back now in the pan? You see, if I hadn't have, I'm just buying time here. So if I hadn't have just put potato on the bottom, all these bits here would have started burning, like the celery would start burning and the cheese would start burning. So we've kind of alleviated that problem. So what do I need to do now? Dun 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 dun. I need to get that back in there. I don't think it will slide. Will it slide? It might do. I'll pause for a second and have a think. I think my main problem is the pan's too big and too heavy, whereas if I'd used a smaller pan it would have been a lot easier. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slide that on the paper into there. I'm going to whip the paper out like one of those magic tricks where they took a tablecloth and they whipped it off the table and all the cups and saucers were left on. So I think I'm going to do that. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. So that there. Actually, I can't do that, so I want some more oil in the pan first. Ooh, that's going to be tricky though. It's just going to make a mess of that. Right, so I need a little bit more oil in the pan. I've got some fat melting in the oven because I'm doing something else. So that there. Turn the oven down a bit. Right, so I'm going to slide it off. I'm going to slide it off the paper so I don't have to do that trick. It should hold together. I have every confidence in myself. I don't need the cloth under there. It's just going to make it difficult. So, we'll see how we go. This should work. Every confidence in myself. Ta-da! Right, so that's that, and then heat on, give it 5 minutes with the lid on, and then that will cook the bottom, and then it'll be lovely and ready. That was a bit of a faff, wasn't it? You'll be able to see what the bottom's like, because I'm going to reveal it now. Right, so that's not too bad. I just think the other side will be nicer. So we'll slide that back into the pan, and then we'll do the same process again. So we get it the nice side serviced up. Even though it's not going to make, we're eating it, so it's going to be nice. But we'll do. Ooh, doesn't want to move. Yes, it does. Like that. Like that. That one again. Oh, I need to do. Where are we? So I need to turn over again. So pan it on there. Do it off camera. Ooh. And then. Like that. Oh, that wasn't too bad, was it? That seemed like it was a lot of hard work. So, and then we'll just get a serrated knife and we'll cut into that and we'll have a look. Nope, it's not washing. So, is this a bit like a frittata? I think it's a bit, yeah, I don't know, yeah, potato rosti type of thing. Then, so 6 extremely generous portions, depending on how greedy you are. Obviously I'm greedy. But imagine that with a poached egg or a fried egg for breakfast, that would be lovely. Or for an evening meal, as a way of using up, if you've got a little bit of meat and you want to make things go a little bit further, you don't want to waste those potatoes, what you did on the fun potatoes. So move that. Oh, that's nice. That was good. So move the camera so you can get a better view on how it looks on the plate. So there we go. We'll just tease that apart. As you can see, all the cheese is nice and melted on the inside, nice and juicy. That's going to be really nice. So, in retrospect, I did have some filling that I didn't use. I didn't take into consideration that obviously it's going to flatten down as it cooks and get rid of some moisture. So what I would have done in retrospect is I would have really packed the pan full of the filling. So what was it? It was 200 grams of cheese, 400 grams of onion, and it was a celery tops, and it was 250 grams of chorizo. And what else was in there? Yeah, that was it. And then about 2 kilos of potatoes. I would say I would have used all that in retrospect, and it had been a lot taller. And then that would have been 6 or 8 really good sized portions. But I think that's delicious. So yeah, one of those dishes where you can, what you've got left over in the fridge, you could add. So I had chorizo in the fridge, some bacon or some ham or some lamb or some beef or some leftover pork, anything like that. Like maybe if you'd had a roast chicken at the weekend and you'd strip the meat off the carcass and the legs, that would work well. Like peppers, red onions, courgettes, any different types of cheese, gooey cheeses would have been really nice. Lots of herbs. One of those versatile dishes where it's just a case of using lots of things up in the fridge and doing it in a really cheap way and really tasty as well. Serve it for breakfast, serve it for an evening meal. That would be really nice on Boxing Day if you had a load of leftover potatoes. And serve it with some eggs. That would be absolutely delicious. There we go, easy peasy.